And welcome back. Well, for a long time, gender stereotypes said that men should be tough and showing emotion was a sign of weakness. So today, why it's time to eliminate these misconceptions and start teaching men the importance of emotional intelligence. Joining us now is mental toughness expert. It's Eric Rittmeyer. He is a former U.S. Marine and author of this book, The Emotional Marine. He says, real men do cry. Good morning to you, Eric.
Tiffany, good morning. Thank you so much for having me back.
Absolutely. So excited to see you again. You know, this is a conversation I'm excited to extend from the last time I was able to chat with you. And I want to start with just the overall stereotype that it is not acceptable for boys to cry. I'm hoping that's going away, but why do you think that exists?
This is horrible, Tiffany. I mean, as a society, it's just we've gotten to this point where any type of emotional expression is looked at as a weakness, as something you're not supposed to do. And for our boys especially, you know, a lot of studies have found boys and girls respond to emotions and they show emotion very like each other up until early teenage years. And all of a sudden they start to really veer off. And it's all because of this thing we put on it where boys can't do it. And it's just so crazy to watch and to witness because we're depriving boys of the ability to express the emotion as opposed to trying to hold it in. And then you see them blow up, unfortunately.
Absolutely. That's going to happen to anybody, right? If you're trying to hold something in, it has to come out. It's just sort of the way life works. How do parents help their children, not even just boys, just in general, express their emotions? I feel like I've been very fortunate to grow up in families where we're all pretty emotional. We're open to being emotional. And to me, that's something that has been such a gift throughout life. But how can parents teach that throughout the years?
I think what's most important, Tiffany, as a parent, from a parent standpoint, I have two teenage daughters. So yes, you're right. I'm wrong. I'm sorry. Right. So I have two teenage daughters. So I think what's most important to start off with is letting our kids know their feelings are okay 100% of the time. Every single feeling you have, it's okay. It's how you respond to that feeling that's important. So we have to start teaching our kids what I refer to as a feelings vocabulary, which is a way for them to articulate what they're feeling and then give them some tools, give them some mechanisms they can use to address those feelings and respond to them as opposed to reacting, which is going to be an emotion-based thing. But it's all about letting them know the feelings are real, the feelings are okay. Let's find a way to express it.
That's great. And good outlets for it. Coping skills for those emotions too, I'm sure is a part of that. How about empathy? Because you know, I think a lot of us, as we grew up, we hear the term, you know, men who are avoidant or they're kind of unemotionally available. Is that a lack of empathy? And what role does that play?
Yeah, I'm actually in the process of writing my next book, Tiffany. This is part of what I'm talking about. And when it comes to empathy, it's one of those things like nature versus nurture, right? Are we born with empathy or is it something that's taught? Do I have more capacity for empathy than you do? So it's a pretty intriguing thing. But the bottom line is, especially with social media, you know, we've become the society of it's more about social media than social interaction. But the empathy piece really gets me because you see so much of this now with our kids. You know, there's a fight or somebody getting picked on or somebody getting bullied or somebody getting beat up. And the first instinct is to video it as opposed to intervening or standing up for the underdog. So when it comes to empathy, I'm really big on this. I would absolutely agree with you that it's something that's lacking. It's something that's needed. And the good thing is I believe it is something that can be taught and we can teach it leading by example and showing our children this is how we treat others. Even strangers, we're still kind to them. We're nice to them. We always stand up for the underdog.
That broke my heart. And I think a lot of people listening to you say our first reaction is to videotape things like that these days. That's heartbreaking to hear that because there's truth in those words. And, you know, I wonder if we suppress emotions, what's the danger in that? Is it this explosion like you talk about? Is there something worse? What's the result of suppressing feelings?
Yeah, it's a multitude of things here. And the thing, like you mentioned a little bit earlier, Tiffany, it's like, you know, I'm a lot older than you, but I remember when I was a kid, my parents used to say, don't hold in your sneeze, your lungs are going to collapse. And what we have now is a society that is taught to just suppress it. And it deprives our relationships. It deprives our relationships with our spouses, with our kids, at work. If we're not able to articulate how we feel, if we can't express that emotion, then unfortunately what we do is it just all bottles up. It's held inside. And then it gets to a point where any one thing that might happen in our life that's bad wouldn't be a big deal. But when it's on top, when there's a layering of all these things together, it exacerbates it. So we have to find healthy outlets. It starts with communication, and it really starts with teaching our kids emotional intelligence skills, which they get none of that right now.
So at the end of the day, how do you do this? How do you begin to practice it? Is it getting used to saying the words I feel? And how do we refrain from feeling whiny when we're always saying, I feel this, I feel that?
It starts with taking control of the emotions and acknowledging the emotions and understanding again that every feeling we have is okay. Whining is okay. Feeling sorry for yourself is okay. Feeling, oh, it's all me, it's all me. That's okay to feel that, but it's dusting yourself off, getting back up. It's self-awareness. It's analyzing it, acknowledging it, and then it's how we respond to it. We can't allow ourselves to remain in that state of mind, but it is very healthy to cry, to be angry. It's extremely healthy to do that, but to try to turn it off as opposed to learning on how to control it, that's the biggest problem we have right now. If we learn to express it, we can find healthy ways, and all of our relationships improve at that point.
It seems to me like if you acknowledge your emotions, the next step is being resilient in life. And I think that's what we all aim for. Thanks so much for joining us, Eric.
It's a pleasure, Tiffany. Thanks for having me. It's good seeing you.
Good to see you again, too. To rewatch this segment or to send it to one of your friends or get the book, go to themorningblend.com. All right, up next, we're going to learn some of the new